Associate Dean and Professor with the School of Criminology at Texas State University. Doctor, welcome in. Thanks for being with me.
Thanks for having me.
I tell you, right in the middle of the holidays here, I think a lot of people obviously have wrapped up their Christmas shopping for the season, but no doubt there are people listening right now that probably became a victim to crime during the holidays. It seems to be rampant out there. So if people are going through that right now and having to fight through it, what can people do at this point if, in fact, they were a victim of fraud? And then we'll talk about how to avoid it for next year.
Sure. Well, unfortunately, the holidays do inspire criminals to be particularly savvy at stealing people's identities. They steal people's credit card numbers. In some cases, in other cases, what they do is they actually steal the actual merchandise. Either they remove illegally the merchandise from somebody's vehicle, or they simply break into a home, and the first thing that they do is they target that Christmas tree that's oftentimes surrounded by gifts, right? Mm-hmm. And you may ask yourself, what do they do with that? Well, what they do with it is they simply, keep it and return it during that time, which is the time that we're in right now, between Christmas Day and New Year's, which is typically most of the stores look the other way as the absence of a receipt or some of the particulars that they would require throughout the year, because they know that there is a huge wave of people that are coming in to exchange gifts or in some cases to find their return. So we ourselves find ourselves oftentimes in the middle of that, being victimized by either a stolen credit card or stolen merchandise or even at times stolen identity.
Well, let's talk about how people can avoid their identity from being stolen. There are different companies. LifeLock is one of those companies that protects your identity, or at least tries. What ways or what can people do to take it upon themselves to move in a direction that keeps them more protected?
One of the things that I often recommend is that people, whenever they go shopping, or even as people go return gifts during these particular days, that they don't tap into those public internet networks, that we oftentimes find in stores, at our airports, and various places. And the reason for that is because the bad guys are always trying to steal that identity and a lot of the things that you have on your phone or on your tablet or on your laptop, right? So one of the things that we recommend for people to do is to get a virtual private network, which is called a VPN. And a VPN is simply a button that you activate on your phone. And by doing so, you pretty much are anonymous to the bad guy. So they're not able to steal your property and steal your credit card information as easily as they would otherwise.
Where do people start with that? The App Store, and you can just look for ways to protect, or Google it, or should you go to like the phone store and say, look, I need more security. Can you help me set it up? How do people start if they're not really knowledgeable on how to get it done?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So what I would encourage people to do is, if they have an iPhone, to basically download, just look up under the App Store, VPN, as in Victor, Papa, November, and what they'll do is you'll see various companies that actually offer that protection, and for a fee that is relatively low. And so you pay for that for the year, and then you download the app. And all you have to do is just press on the app, and it will activate your VPN. And so your phone will basically be protected, right? And that's a good idea. Even those of us that fly quite a bit, it's a great idea to have it on board an airplane if you tap into the Wi-Fi network of an airline industry. And the reason for that is because there are other passengers that are always fishing for information as well. So it's very easy to use, right? Something that even people that are non-technical, not technically savvy, would be able to activate it in a few minutes.
So once you get that VPN downloaded, that's it? You don't have to do anything else? So every time you sign on to something, or does it make you jump through another hoop once you try and, once again, get into the airline website or airline internet? Is it just automatically you're more protected?
Yeah, so what you do is you actually activate it and you keep it on your phone at all times. I have it on all the time on my phone. And so what I do is I never deactivate it per se. And so even when I'm at home, I have it on. And so all you have to do is, every once in a while, make sure the app is working, make sure the app is updated, and make sure that it says VPN is on. And that's really all you need to do. If you ever recycle your phone, or if you ever turn it off and turn it back on, make sure that your VPN is on when you turn it back on. But look, it is a great, great tool for those of us that want to have our identity protected. And it's not ever, foolproof 100%, but it is much better than the alternative, which is how vulnerable we are to the rest of the world.
Right. Well, I'm sure a lot of people this week have got everybody gone, and relatives and friends are settling down. And I've got 4 sweaters and 2 ties I really don't like. I'm going back to the store to return this stuff. So let's talk about how people can avoid being targets in parking lots and in stores.
Well, one of the things that often happens is that the bad guys, they also take advantage of these days when people return stuff, and they something that is actually even called return fraud, right? Which is basically a scheme that bad guys use, which is when people, they will steal things and they will bring back stolen goods. They will counterfeit receipts, and sometimes they will actually even get merchandise that is not, say, brand merchandise. But it looks just like it, and they will then ask for a return value on the merchandise that is actually cheaper. For the rest of us, our vulnerabilities are that you got to remember that every gift that you're going to return or exchange is just like cash, right, to the bad guy, right? So bad guys are watching very carefully where you go, where you leave your bags at the mall. In 1 second of distraction that you may leave the bag on the floor, they'll pick it up, and then 2 days later, they'll come back to the store and return the merchandise. And so oftentimes they will even go there with a bag themselves that is empty, and then they'll essentially shoplift, put stuff in the bag, and then go up to the counter and return the merchandise as if they had purchased it before. So it is open season for criminals, and they know that the stores are going to be filled with people returning gifts, exchanging gifts for a different size, and they are going to take advantage of that, of the distractions, of the numbers of people that are there, and they are going to do that very easily and prey not only on the store, but also on the customer as well.
Yeah, there's so much revenue lost in retail every year this time of year in shoplifting. Are they getting better at catching folks like this, or are they just overwhelmed now with the workforce being what it is, tough to find good employees and keep them? I've walked into department stores and you can't find anybody within 100 yards to, help you. Is it easier now for these criminals than it used to be, or getting tougher?
I remember, 1,000 years ago when I was young and I was working at a store arresting people shoplifting, and the technology was, limited. We had cameras, but they were not nearly as good as the cameras that we have today. And you have to sort of go back inside the little room where we were monitoring the activities of some people that looked to us suspicious. But today, the technology is much better, right? So we know that, for instance, we have these high-powered, 4K cameras inside stores that are easily able to see, people stealing something or concealing something and then walking out the store. The problem that we have, as you noted in your question, is the lack of manpower. There's still a shortage of people that want to work, and two, that want to work in that particular industry. And as a result of that, you may have a great video of the bad guy stealing goods. You don't have anybody to stop that person. And if you call the police, they will not respond in a timely manner because they are also consumed by other calls as well. So technology is better, manpower is lacking, and the victimization continues.
Very good. Dr. Alex Del Carmen, I sure do appreciate you, the Associate Dean and Professor with the School of Criminology at Texas State University. Thank you, sir. Happy holidays.